Hello and welcome back to week 2 of Behold, a guided Advent journal for prayer and meditation. So last week we talked about Mary as healer and we talked about our moms. And this week we're going to talk about St. Joseph as our protector, and we're going to talk about our dads. And the quote that I've chosen from this week is by a wonderful book by Father Boniface Hicks. I would highly recommend it. And the book is called Through the Heart of St. Joseph. And here is the quote. He says, "As we place ourselves in the position of Jesus in St. Joseph's arms, we can learn the greatest experience of fatherhood. We learn from St. Joseph what it means to be unconditionally loved. It is an invitation to be little and childlike. And when we take the risk of being vulnerable like a child, we get a taste of divine love, and we experience a father's tenderness for his son." And there's so much in that quote that's going to guide our whole week together. But I particularly like what he says, when we take the risk of being vulnerable like a child. And I think it does feel risky at times, doesn't it? Even what we're talking about these weeks, it can feel kind of risky to go to those places of our hearts with the Lord, or to allow the Holy Spirit to bring them to the surface. And we can wonder, well, is this really going to make a difference, or what does it matter? And I would like you to consider that it makes all the difference. And we spoke about, like last week we talked about our moms, and we're going to speak about our dads this week. And we talk about how we come to be human beings, and we get half of our DNA from our mothers and half of our DNA from our fathers. And we look at the role of mother as nurturer, as one as tender communion. And we're going to look at the role of father this week, as the father is the bearer of strong affirmation. That the gift of masculinity and the gift of just the glory of men in general, and just the way that God has made them. And we look at generations, for all the generations that have ever existed from Adam and Eve until now. And we look at the rise and the fall of civilizations and races and nations, and all that God has ever created is male and female. And that's a beautiful reality of John Paul II talks about the theology of the body, of the revelation of who God is through man and through woman. And so every man and every woman has a theology of their body, of what God is saying through their body, a study of God through their body, and the gift of men as strong affirmation, of a man who protects, who is tender, who is strong, who is one who is a life giver, that gives the gift of himself, so the bride, so the family, so those who are weak and vulnerable can live and can be protected and be safe and to become everything that they're called to be. And that is the glorious gift of masculinity. The gift of masculinity is just so wonderful, and it's so good. And so, gentlemen, I just want to say how glorious you are, and the way that God has made you. You're such a gift. You're such a profound gift. And we see that particularly in the life of St. Joseph. And there's been so many books written by so many wonderful and wise people over the years about St. Joseph. But one of my favorite things about St. Joseph is just experiencing his strength and his steadfastness, his constancy. And when we study the scriptures, we see just the steadfastness of St. Joseph, that he's a righteous man, that he's a man who lives in honor and honesty, that he is a strong protector, that he is somebody who is obedient, he is humble, he is somebody who guards, who guides, who continues to seek out so he can make a place for his beautiful wife to have their child, that he's going to become, the one who watches over the Son of God. I would imagine that many times Joseph probably laid awake at night and said, wow, wow. And the humility of God to entrust himself to humanity. And so when we spend time with St. Joseph, that's what we experience. And all of us, like we have with our mothers, all of us have different experiences of our fathers. And so we have experiences of maybe your dad working and coming home and playing catch with you, or maybe your dad was the chef in the family, and every weekend there was a barbecue, or there were pancakes and waffles after Sunday Mass, and maybe your dad was, just the one who always organized things, or your dad was the backbone of the family, or your dad would be out there tirelessly getting all the sports stuff ready for all the kids to play sports, that the dad was always there. That he was this constant presence in life, that he was somebody who stood by your mom and who was an equal partner with her, one who gave the gift of himself, and the family felt safe and the family felt protected, and that your dad would tell you the truth, that he would speak the truth to you in love, that he would be a gentle presence for you, that he would have an encouraging word, that he would have a strong blessing, that he would lead you and guide you, that he would come and pursue you, that his love was unconditional. That it didn't matter how well you did at school, or how well you did on the sports field, or in your art class, or at your job, or he was just a man who just loved you. That you knew that you could always come home and find him there. And then, perhaps we have different experiences of our fathers. And maybe for some of us, we don't even know who our biological fathers are. Or maybe dad, just out of his own brokenness, just absolutely wasn't present. And maybe his strength, instead of being a safety and a refuge, maybe his strength was dangerous, or his strength was destructive, or maybe in his own woundedness, he would kind of retreat and just go into himself, and he wasn't available physically, or he wasn't available emotionally. Maybe your dad just didn't teach you how to do things. Dads, mom and dad teach us how to live. They teach us how to be men and women. And maybe your dad in your life, if you're a man or a woman, he didn't teach you what it meant to love your mom, or what it meant to love people, or what it meant to persevere, or what it meant to be honest. And all of us have just places where, like our dads just weren't able to give us everything that we needed. And the beautiful truth about our faith, like we mentioned before, is that we have God the Father who loves us, and we see a particular revelation of that through Jesus, but we also see a particular revelation of that through St. Joseph. And I think one of the biggest healings in my life, and I often go back to this, is that I just spend time with Jesus and Mary and Joseph at Nazareth. A father is an irreplaceable figure in our lives, and whether we know him or not, nothing can ever quite replace him, because he's irreplaceable. And perhaps even thinking of that fills our hearts with a mix of things. I think one of the biggest healings that I've had in my life is just spending a lot of time with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph in Nazareth in my time of prayer. And I can't tell you how many times I've just sat at their kitchen table and just experienced the safety of the marriage of Mary and Joseph, of their love for each other, of their consistency, of their steadfastness, of their joy. Like, they're very funny. They're very funny, and they're very delightful. And watching how they love Jesus, and watching his interactions with them, and just experiencing the heart of St. Joseph there has been so profoundly healing for me. And the restoration of just my own heart in the places where my own heart has been wounded, right? And so all of us need that. All of us need a safe place to go where we can experience strong affirmation of the truth of who we are, that we are shown that we are good and authentic love, and unconditional love, a love that will always speak the truth to us, a love that will always be there for us. And like we said, everything we're talking about is an image of God himself, but we see it in a very particular way with St. Joseph. It's said that every child needs to hear two things from their dad. And number one is, I love you. And number two is, I'm proud of you. And those are things that the Lord says to you and I. And I know those are things that Joseph would have spoken over Jesus. I love you and I'm proud of you, son. I'm so proud of you. You're so very good. And there's so much in store for you. God has so many good things for you. I'm so glad that God gave you to me. I'm so glad of the daughter or the son that you are to me. I love you, and I'm always here for you. And as we said, we don't ever grow out of that desire. And so every day you and I go, as we spend time with St. Joseph, as we spend time with God the Father, and we ask for the healing in our relationship with our dads, and for blessing for our dads. This is the desire that God has for us, that we would experience a strength that's tender, a strength that's life-giving, a strength that brings us to life, a strength that gives us the ability to be the people that God is calling us to be, that he's creating us to be, and a strength also to receive our fathers just as they are. Like we said about our moms, our dads are just people. And they were little boys once, and they have their own stories and their own way of experiencing life, and the particular areas where they bear both glory and they experience shame. And I think so many times, if we were to be able to ask our dads maybe about some of the areas where their hearts have been broken, or where their hearts have just failed us, I would imagine that our dads, if they were able to, would sit across from us and just say, I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It wasn't really about you. It was about me. I was unable to give you the love I knew you needed, or your mom, and I'm sorry for the ways I hurt you. I'm sorry for not showing up for you. I'm sorry for not being interested in coming to your baseball game. I was just too tired, or I just was too upset with other things in life. I'm sorry. And I love you. I love you. And I'm so glad God gave you to me. And so just as we spoke about our mothers, I'm wondering, just as we go into this week and just noticing everything that's coming to our heart right now, of maybe we could also just spend some time just asking St. Joseph and just asking the Lord to bless our fathers. And just to bring us, even now, no matter how young or old we are, into a deeper healing with our dads. I wish you every blessing this week and all that the Lord's going to reveal to you about the heart of St. Joseph, about the heart of your dad. And we will come back together next week, and we'll talk about childhood with the child Jesus. God bless you. See you then.